Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and tuning into this book chat. We have a treat for you today with Dr. Jacie Maslyk and her newest book, Big Engineering Experiments for Little Kids. My name is Melody McAllister, and if this is your first time joining us tonight, or you join us every chance you get, I want to thank you. You can catch this live broadcast every Wednesday from Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can catch the replay on these same channels. I want to give a shout out to the Connected School community and Thrive and Edu community, and thank you for tuning in. And now I'd like to introduce author Dr. Jacie Maslyk. She is an educator, leader, speaker, and the author of several books, and they all have something in common: using creativity to connect curriculum to the real world and deepen relationships. When I chose a fun challenge from her book, Big Engineering Experiments for Little Kids, I had no idea that my kids would not want to quit, and the fun truly lasted for hours this afternoon. The age group suggested for this book is 3 to 5 years old, and I know my 3-year-old really loved it. And for parents wanting to find a non-digital way to engage with their littles, this book gives you plenty of ideas. For parents and teachers of BIGs, I could see this book being used as an independent center or as a guide to get ideas for engaging students and providing a foundation of understanding in more complex engineering tasks. I love how Dr. Maslyk organized this book and is honest about the messiness levels. She uses easy to find household objects and even gives simple explanations that parents and teachers can build on as necessary. We give her newest book 5 stars. Dr. Maslyk, I know this week marks the 2-year book birthday of your book, Unlocking Creativity. So I want to congratulate you on this and ask you how you are doing. And could you give us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, thank you, Melody, for reaching out and having me. I'm happy to be here, and it's always good to connect with you. It was kind of timely that it came up in my Facebook feed that Unlock Creativity was 2 years ago this week, which is crazy. That was my first connection with EduMatch and being a part of that family, and so grateful for that opportunity. And that really is a book that I think allowed me to connect a lot of my passions, STEAM and art and design, and in a really hands-on way, I think that is accessible to a lot of kids and educators. And this particular book, Big Engineering, so I have 2 sons at home, and they're 7 and 9. So they're not in this age range either, but we had a blast doing all of these experiments too. They were sort of my guinea pigs. We kind of designed some things together, and we'd try them out at home, and we had a blast. So it was so awesome seeing your kids, the video you put out today, Melody. That's awesome.
Yeah, and the fun thing, so we did, if you look behind me, I had my daughter Leela. She was obsessed. Now they all enjoyed. So one of the challenges, for this particular book that you have, Big Engineering. So I was like, what can we do? One of the things I love is that you have like all household items. And I was like, okay, what can I do really quick? Well, we have a ton of plastic cups, and I just knew that they would love it. So we went ahead and did this, and that's just one thing. It's all you need. And I thought, okay, and then we'll go on to another one, because, as teachers, we just plan on different things. And I thought my kids would love the ones with the cars and the ramps and everything like that. We just couldn't get away from this. And my 3-year-old was like, he was kind of like on the outside a little bit, but he loves to join us. And by the end, he made a tower with the help of my oldest son that was as big as Leela's. But my 9-year-old, or almost 9-year-old, she just couldn't get away from these cups. I mean, she was, making castles that had patterns, and we talked about the balance. And I love that you put in the task and the experiments, an explanation for these, because I think as a classroom teacher, some of those very basic ideas were lost, and we don't always go back and teach them. So I appreciated this as a parent, just to give me conversation and kind of direction without having to Google anything. So,
well, and I think there's a lot of these activities that, pre-K programs, parents who are learning and working at home with their students, with their kids, there's a lot of science and STEM behind what you're doing. And we can start to introduce that at really young ages in hands-on ways. I mean, your kids thought they were playing today, right? I mean, they weren't thinking, right, oh, my mom's teaching me engineering. So in very hands-on and playful ways, you're building skills now that are just going to be reinforced when they go, into a science classroom, or they have a STEM lab. It just provides a really nice foundation for them and starts to give them the language of things that engineers do, and this is a pulley or this is a lever, and we need to think about how long we need to measure this string. Just really simple skills that some 3 to 5 year olds might need some assistance with, and that's great. Have an older sibling help out. But we're definitely seeing that a lot of pre-K programs are enjoying the activities. A lot of homeschool parents are accessing this. And I think it's really important. You mentioned household items. I want everyone to be able to do this and not be limited by materials, right? So there's nothing in there that you can't find either in your kitchen cupboard or at the dollar store, right? Nothing fancy. You don't have to have all kinds of gadgets or technology to learn STEM, to learn engineering. It can be in very simple ways. And I hope that people who get the book see that.
Yeah, and the play is a huge factor. And if you're a teacher wanting to these will definitely line up, I think, to any state standards that there are. But I'm going to tell you, it was Wednesday, it's hump day, and we have been hard at doing our studies in our school and getting into our routine because we started a couple of weeks ago. So, but the breakup today, I thought, we're going to have fun, but it wasn't just fun. It was true learning. These are the things that even though we were playing are going to stick in their minds forever. And as a science teacher, just the connections that I'm so glad we did. I don't always remember to do these little things. I don't always remember to talk about certain vocabulary, but I just felt like today was such a hit. And now that they have this book, they were just going through it. My oldest were going through it and trying to see what they wanted to do next. And so I am actually, in our routines, because I am homeschooling right now, I'm going to put it, it's one of those things that when they want to take a break from what we're doing, they can choose anything. We pretty much have everything here and, they can do whatever they want. So I love this. I mean, I really got excited today. It was just so much fun. Even my husband, who is an actual engineer, got involved. And I don't know if you noticed, but on every single one of my, I put this all over my socials. I use different pictures for every single one of them. We just had such different experiences.
We should probably call your husband in and ask him what he thinks. I'd love to get his feedback from an engineering background. I mean, we did try, though, to make sure that there were different areas of engineering, right? Chemical engineering, but there are some things in there that would help students to build those early skills. Obviously, mechanical engineering, some civil engineering kinds of things, because students need to understand that engineers just don't build buildings, right? There's lots of different types of engineering, and different activities in each one of those areas can help to maybe spark an interest. I think you might have some potential, builders and designers with the towers you guys came up with today.
I know, I love it. And we even tested we have earthquakes, every other day or whatever here. So we even, talked about engineers have to, they have to see all the problems that are going to have and what are they going to face. And, Leela didn't want it to fall, but I mean, it was just a part of it. So, and she's in here. She's so excited to have done this. Do you want to say anything? What?
Hi.
Oh, hi. Yeah, she's just this is Leela, and she's 8. She's going to be 9 soon. Come on, sweetie. And so she actually built the tower, and she was just so excited. What was your favorite thing about today?
Making patterns.
Okay, making patterns and with the building. Yeah, because we did quite a bit of STEM stuff today. And so do you want to say anything about the book or what we did today? Oh, no.
What you built is so cool, Leela. Thanks for sharing it with us.
I know you can't hear because I have my AirPods in, but
okay.
This is the author. And she said what you did today was so cool. Yeah, so thanks for sharing with us, and thanks for building that. You can stick around. Yeah, they always come in when I'm doing this, no matter what I said, but I'm glad it's her. She came in for a reason. She knew that I was, going to be doing this. So she is so excited. Are you okay if I show one of the little videos? You are in a hotel room. You've been speaking and working so hard. You go around the country educating educators. And so I understand that you don't have your book with you today, but do you mind if I share something?
Oh, please. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's see. I'm going to pull up my Twitter. Oh, I have to share screen. Okay. And if you're watching at home and you have any sort of, questions that you would like to ask Dr. Jacie Maslyk, please ask. We would love to. your thoughts. Here we go. Okay. Okay, I'm back. Hi. Okay, you know what? Ugh. Okay, it's not happening. Can you see me? I see that my internet is acting a little crazy, but can you see me? Okay, so I won't do that. I don't want to make it worse. Yeah, I'm so sorry about that. I don't know what was happening. When I was trying to share, it just froze. So I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to. And here she goes. She's going to start doing her things. And that's fine. Go ahead, sweetie. When you wrote this book, what was the process like of writing big engineering experience for little kids? Say that 5 times fast.
Right. Well, inspired by your kids, very similar in my house. I have 2 young sons. They are very hands-on. And so any experiments that we came up with, and I really do mean we, like me and my boys, we talked about it and we're like, all right, let's try it. Let's see if it works. If we were, a little bit younger, do you think somebody in kindergarten would be able to do this? We tried to make things really simplified. Again, we tried to do things that we knew we had around the house, or if not, we could grab from the dollar store, and we would just mess with them at home. Like your Leela is just doing those towers. My youngest son, Tanner, he loved the ramps. He's grabbing these big old textbooks that I had in the house and he's stacking them up and we're using a ramp and he's racing, Hot Wheels cars down. We started timing them, just learning a little bit about, well, if that's a really steep ramp, do you think it's going to go faster? Do you think it's going to go slower? Is a lighter car going to go faster or this heavier one? So just asking those kinds of questions. And again, just kind of playing with it at home. I mean, I never said to him, okay, honey, we're going to learn engineering today. It was just what we did. And the takeaway was really powerful because he's learning these science concepts and thinks we're just playing with cars. Like, I love that about hands-on learning. I think that's why I've always been so passionate about STEM and STEAM, because kids are doing things. They're messing with stuff. They're taking things apart. They're building things. And there's so much great learning that's taking place. And I love seeing that at home. I love seeing that in classrooms.
Yeah. And so when you talk with teachers, what are their, questions for you, like how to integrate all of this? What is some advice that you like to give them when they,
I think for some teachers, it can be scary because this isn't nice and neat all the time, right? I mean, we talked about in the book, There's a messy meter, because I think people need to know ahead of time if this is going to be a messy experiment or not. And when you think about that in terms of a classroom, sometimes that can make some teachers nervous, right? You're putting a lot of materials out. You don't necessarily know the outcome, right? Like if you're going to do an engineering challenge and you say, we're going to design a contraption to meet this requirement, who knows what kids will come up with? To me, that's exciting. To some teachers, that's scary. They may feel like they need to have a little bit more guidance or a little more control about what's happening in the classroom. So sometimes STEM and STEAM can be scary for them. My advice is just try it. Just take one small step and try it in your classroom. I promise you that you're going to see such student engagement that you're going to try it again. Back, 16 maybe years ago? No. We'll say 12 years ago, I was an elementary school principal and we opened a STEAM space in our school. And Some people were a little bit hesitant to take their classes there, weren't sure like, what do we do here? But they would walk past and see students in there. You just can't deny the student engagement. And so when teachers see the way that students can really make choices, take control over their own learning in spaces like this, to me, I mean, the possibilities are endless. And I just love that about STEAM education.
You were like in the STEAM education before it really became a thing 16 years ago.
Well, I'm thinking probably 12, right? Yeah, probably 12 years ago. And we were early adopters. We were blessed to get some grant money to kind of give us a head start. That the first book I wrote was all about our journey as a school to do that. And yeah, ever since, it's just been something that I've been really passionate about. I think in part, if I'm being totally honest, I didn't have a lot of that freedom in some of my education, and I wanted that hands-on. I tell a story in my book Steam Makers. I wasn't a strong math student. And I think it's because I wasn't given some hands-on things to kind of make those connections. I needed things to be a little more concrete at times and a little more flexible at times. And that wasn't really a part of my education. And so my drive to make that now for classrooms that, teachers that I work with is partly for that reason. It's partly because of my own kids. I want them to have access to learning that pulls them in and makes them think and lets them fail and have them, head back to that and try it again. I think there's so much value in that. And I love seeing that in schools. And I think so many teachers are grabbing onto that and using that as a process in their classroom. I would love to see it in every classroom. I just think kids really benefit from that.
And I love it. Two things that you said. Hey, girls, hey, settle down. Two things that you said really resonated. One was the concrete. And I think that sometimes, even though I am so connected to education, I forget that. I forget that my kids still need that concrete. And I think, well, these are easy concepts. This really brought me back down to earth in those ways, in a good way. Another thing that you said that really resonated is the try and fail. We had tears today. As fun as this was, my 3-year-old, when his castle went up there, he wanted it to stay permanently. And, it was going to fall, because it's just, it's not completely balanced. Well, we had to go through that and talk about how this is just, this is temporary and we're going to rebuild. And we went through the whole entire discussion of trying and failing and growing and getting better. And this is just one tiny example in your book. So I really appreciate that as a mother, but also as an educator. And I'm just going to put this book up. Y'all have to get this book. And I will drop the link again, but this is so good. And have you heard anybody from with older kids? What has the feedback been since you put this book out?
Well, and I think the target area is definitely for our youngest engineers, right? Giving the littlest kids that introduction, that hands-on in very simplistic ways. But I really do think that you could expand this into primary, K1, 2, even. And again, my sons are in 2nd and 4th grade, and they love this stuff too.
Yeah,
I think there are probably ways that teachers could look at the experiments and just full disclosure so everybody understands. I mean, it's a book of experiments. You're not going to there's not a lot of narrative, right? It's giving you each experiment. It's giving you an explanation, some simple steps that students can follow, and giving you a little bit of the engineering behind it in a very simplistic way. But you could definitely expand that and add different layers of challenge to it. Clearly you went beyond that. Your tower is enormous back there. And the plan in the book was only I think it's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? So you guys pushed that thinking and you said, okay, let's make this taller. How are we going to do that? Do we need to add a layer to our base? And you probably used engineering words without even thinking about it. Just doing that play at home with your kids.
Yeah. And I'm thinking of the 5E model of engaging. And I'm just saying because, I taught 5th grade science and 4th grade science for a number of years. And I would have loved to have this book. It's just so simple. When you have so much going on, you don't have to have really any prep for this. You just need to make sure that you have the materials, but they're easy to find. And so if you're a teacher watching or a homeschool parent like me watching this, there's just so many things you could pull up just to get your kids plugged in and to whatever task that you're going to start doing, but also to give that foundation of the why, why does something happen, to get them talking about that. Because and you and I both have seen this, play is not necessarily super popular in schools anymore. They it's just not about play. I mean, listen, I had a kitchen when I was in kindergarten. I don't even know if kindergarten classrooms have kitchens anymore.
Yeah,
So.
I went to Montessori school, so yeah, I mean, that was, yeah.
Okay. I can see that connection then. Definitely why you are who you are and the Montessori, because I definitely thought of that. Wonderful. So was this book a lot different than writing your other books? Because you have like 5 or 6 books, or how many books do you have?
That was 6. And
Okay.
I'll have another one coming out with that same publisher on a related topic. Yeah.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thanks. Well, and
so
it's funny. I tell this story to people a lot. I never thought I would write. When I went back to school to get my doctorate, I had a writing teacher at that level of education who was she just supported us and gave such good feedback that I left her class feeling like, all right, maybe I can do this. And she would encourage us to write write an article to get submitted, write a conference proposal. I mean, I had never done that before. And once you start doing it and you kind of build up like, okay, I'm confident in this now. When I wrote my first book, I sent her a copy and I said, I would have never written this book had it not been for you. She just encouraged us so much in an area that I think is hard. Writing is hard. And so I give kudos to all of our author friends because it's hard work.
It is. And, people often ask me, like, I want to write a book. Like, they've got this story in their mind. And, I write kind of like in chunks. Like, I get really inspired and I'll write for hours. Whereas I know some people like write for a set time every day. But what you said, starting small, those are also things that I never thought that I would do. Even though I loved writing, I just like blogging, I think really opened up a lot of being able to write more and get it out into the public. So what type of writer are you? Do you write every day? Do you write when you're inspired? Like,
hang on, I'm reaching for a prop. I literally carry like a paper notebook, and I know that's old school. That probably dates me a bit. I put any kind of idea, especially when I'm traveling, any idea I have, I put it in my notebook and I go back to it, and maybe it turns into a blog post. Maybe it turns into nothing. I feel like with having kids at home, as you know, sometimes finding that quiet time to write is a challenge. I'll tell you, when I wrote All In with my writing partner, my EduMatch writing partner, Kristen Nan, we did little getaways. So we would go to a hotel, like nowhere fancy, like a hotel down the road, and we would stay for a weekend and we would write for, 4 hours, and we'd go take a walk, and then we'd come back and write for 4 hours. And that was sort of our way to keep each other accountable almost. When I write on my own, it's kind of whenever it comes to me, whenever I feel inspired. Yeah, I do write a lot on airplanes, thus always with my book with me. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I get ideas from a lot of different places, and that's sort of the place I collect them. This book is a little bit different. Writing experiments is kind of a different, I don't know that it's a genre, but it's a little bit different, right? And yeah, very child friendly. The organization that I worked with to publish this, they did all the illustrations, which I think just turned out so cool. And yeah, I mean, it's meant to be a very simplistic way to engage our youngest learners into the foundation of some engineering. We had a blast. There's one that's a zip line. There's one that's a parachute. I mean, especially my boys, they loved that. They loved trying it out. We were dropping parachutes from our foyer, down the stairs. And but again, simple materials: grocery bag, string, an action figure.
Yes,
simple materials.
Oh my gosh. Look, like if we hadn't just moved, we would have had this. Is it okay that I'm showing these?
Yes, sure.
I mean, like ketchup and a packet of ketchup and a bottle and water. I mean, I love this so much.
And it's so simple. Right. It's so simple. And you think, what's a kid going to learn with that? But it is interesting to watch how the ketchup moves as you move your water bottle. And the kids are like, well, why is that happening? Right? So what a teachable moment to explain to them and say, well, let's think about the engineering words that are related to this experiment. And for the littles, like your youngest, 3, you said, is it Wit?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, Wit. Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe he's not going to remember all the engineering words, but he's going to remember the day that you guys stacked those cups and how he felt like an engineer that day, right?
Mm-hmm, definitely. And one of the things I wanted to do today too, but we didn't get to it, so maybe tomorrow. I'm looking forward to the jumping pepper, and yeah. And I know that these are some of the things I remember doing this with my 5th graders, but of course we had different materials. But I mean, I just want to say kudos to you, and it's right by the ramp book, the ramp experiment. I love it. I love the illustrations. I love the simplicity and like they knew I was coming and doing this today. But yes, you did a great job. And so what are some resources? Can I show them? I'm going to try again. And this is Lizzie. She had a fun time today too. We say hi, Lizzie. Do you want me to share your website and kind of go through that at all? Just for people that want to like get a hold of you or see what you do?
Yeah, I mean, they can find me at Steam, www.steam-makers.com. And there's some resources on there I shared with you earlier. I've had a lot of homeschool parents who have found some of the resources and said like, hey, these are really useful. Have you seen this one? And so we've been able to add some there as well. People can reach out to me through social media, on Twitter or on Facebook. They can also email me if they'd like. My email is my first name, last name, Jacie Maslyk @gmail. And I am a full-time consultant and provide professional development to teachers all across the country. This week I've been in Arkansas. I travel here a lot for some of my work, and been spending time in South Carolina and some new friends in Kentucky. So it's been great. I would love to connect with the folks who are watching, and happy to support schools. Yeah, that's really been my passion.
I love that so much. And Barbara said hi. Barbara Gruner, thank you. She's going to be coming. Yes. And you're right, Barbara. We love the big solo cups. Yes. And the colorful ones, I would suggest using colorful ones. Now, I just had them because, we were moving. And so we had a lot of like just, temporary stuff going on, but they were great. Oh, and hello. Hey, so hi. But yes, thank you for joining us. I'm going to show them your website. So you have resources. And I love this. I love this. You have websites to check out. And as a mom that is also homeschooling right now, I think this is really amazing. So this is why I want to showcase, because you do tell us a little bit about like the resources that you have collected.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are things that I used when I was working in some STEM schools, some great makerspace resources, whether they are locations where you can find maker work. A couple places across the country where hands-on maker space learning is happening all the time. Obviously, some familiar ones. Engineering is Elementary is a great resource. If you're not familiar with the Virginia Children's Engineering Council, that is a really great resource. Their challenges, they call them design briefs, and there's a bunch of created lessons already that teachers can access. Again, it's all for free. Teachers or parents who are homeschooling, they're just a great organization, and they actually have a conference coming up. It'll be virtual in February, so if people want to check out their website, they do a really nice conference with a focus on engineering.
Ooh, I love that. Can you see it? Because I can't see my screen.
Yeah.
Does it pull up? Okay, great.
Does.
Wow. I will definitely check this out. This is amazing. Are you speaking at this one?
I might be.
Awesome.
I have a few sessions, and we're talking about some other things. But a couple years ago, I did a keynote for them, and they're just a wonderful organization to work with.
Oh, that is so great. Is there anything else I can highlight? I know we're coming to the end of our time. Is there anything else I can highlight from your website that might? Oh, here's your books.
You want to show the books? Yeah.
I
Steve
do.
Akers
I
was
do.
my first book ever. I wrote that back in 2015. Connect to Lead is a book through ISTE all about relationships and learning networks and the power that can really propel schools forward. My two EduMatch books, Unlock Creativity, and my book All In with my buddy Kristen Nan. Remaking Literacy is another book that I have been doing a lot of work with teachers around the country. The whole idea of, all of this hands-on STEM learning is great, but there are also teachers who say, I'm not a STEM teacher. But there are so many great connections to children's literature and hands-on ways that we can pull those ideas together. And so Remaking Literacy really does that.
Oh, I love that. I will definitely be getting that as well. Well, thank you so much for this. Just before we go, first of all, thank you. I am so excited that I can even put my thoughts together well, and I apologize for that. And I'm going to put your information. I hope that people will look you up on Twitter. And you said that basically anywhere you are, they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely.
And yes. And so before we go, just one last thing. And I know you probably already said this, but just in case somebody didn't hear it, what is one piece of advice that you would like to give to parents or teachers that are struggling, that just don't feel as comfortable with the STEM and the STEAM ideas and the maker ideas?
I think just start small. Do one small step. For our language arts teachers, take one small way that you can add a hands-on component into your next reading lesson. If you're the math folks like hands-on, right? You're adding manipulatives. You're doing that one extra piece to kind of open another door for a student who maybe just isn't the student who's going to take it in by listening. Let's give them that hands-on opportunity to maybe be a little more creative, to work collaboratively with others. I think just take one small step. It doesn't have to be a gigantic, experiment. It doesn't have to be a huge maker project. It can be one small experiment, right? To just try it. I've seen an enormous student engagement when we turn it over to the kids and give them that opportunity to mess with stuff, right? Get a little bit messy, tinker with some materials, build, construct. It's been great.
Yeah, and then write about it. That's another, like if you're a language arts teacher, you do that and then write about it. I love that connection. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Next week, we're going to have Bonnie Nieves with Be Awesome on Purpose, and the week following that, we are going to be My Name is an Address with author Ekua Moses Mendez. And I'm sorry if I said, yes, Men's Moses. I turned that around. But thank you guys so much, and we'll see you again next week. Everybody take care, and I will be, writing about this and blogging about this. I appreciate your time so much. See you next week.